This episode of the Higher Ground podcast was brought to you in part by Desperado, the music videos Volume 1 and the brand new Volume 2. I'm so proud of these DVDs. Between both volumes of Desperado, you have 28 tracks. That's 28 music videos, 4 of which cannot be seen anywhere else except for right here on these 2 copies. Produced and edited by your boy for you, the audience. And I've made sure to include so many of your favorite songs on here. Higher Ground, It Is What It Is, What You Drinking About, Catch My Breath, Deja You, 2 Steps Back, Outrun the Devil. That's just a few on the first volume alone. On the second volume, we tackle the later records in the catalog. Finding My Way Back Home is on here. Bed on Fire, Confession, One Day, Fifth Half Full. All 5 records represented on these 2 DVDs. Only 100 copies were made of these. Once they are gone, they're gone for good. I don't make a lot of these things. I don't do it for the money. I just do it because I think it's cool to have something physical every once in a while in this digital world that we live in. These go for $15 a piece only at RylandFisherShop.com. Grab yours before they're gone. Once they're gone, they're gone.
You can find me rolling like a stone, blowing in the wind down some highway, like smoke in the air on a Colorado breeze. Don't know how to come down. I'm doing fine with my head in the clouds and these boots, landing on some higher ground.
And audio's going.
Okay.
All right. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about Bob Dylan songs.
Favorite
Bob Dylan.
song?
Yeah.
Knocking on Heaven's Door. I just recorded it on that covers album that I'm working on. Mm-hmm. It's the most sentimental. It's like the first song I ever learned how to play, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is, do you listen to 80s Bob Dylan? Like the weird shit?
Yeah.
Do you remember the one where the guy from Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler, played guitar? He was the guitar player on the Bob Dylan album. That
I didn't even know that, to be honest.
Yeah, dude. It's called what is it? Bob Dylan.
This is where the laptop comes in handy.
I know.
You
This is actually working out. 80s. Dude, because his like 80s stuff I think is making a little bit of a resurgence. Infidels, it's called. So check it out. It's weird and it's kind of campy, but it's really good songwriting, I think. What's yours?
Man, I've seen Bob Dylan live 7 times, which I feel fortunate to have done so. And so every time I've seen him, dude, he like, it's never even close to the same set. Like he's all over the place. One time I saw him in Knoxville and it was just like all these obscure like songs that
cuts.
Yeah, man, like if you didn't listen to him for weeks before going to the show, you'd have no idea what they were.
Did the audience hate it or they love it?
They were confused by it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's like when someone's like Freebird, like the audience, you could feel it like in their heads. They were like Rolling Stone, you know, like it was a weird thing, but it was still amazing. And this show that I'm talking about in Knoxville was just him and a piano.
Right.
Didn't have the band. It was crazy.
Right.
Crazy cool.
Right.
But weird because I felt like I didn't know a lot of what he was playing.
Yeah. he did a few shows here. My buddy got to see one of them, and I think it might have been, how long ago was this?
This was probably 2 years ago.
Right. Is this the one where he was doing kind of loungy stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think my buddy got to see that. It sounds wild.
Because out here, my brother went to the show at the Ryman.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he said it was like kind of a mix of like more of his, you know, I don't want to call it poppy, but you know what I'm saying? Like his more mainstream stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Dylan, I mean, who better? Right?
He's a god. He's a god.
Yeah, he is. That's
very cool.
And I see him, and this is probably not great to say on your podcast.
No.
But I see him every time he's in a place where I'm able to see him, I see him because I'm like, he doesn't have much time left.
Right.
And dude, he's infinite time apparently.
He might beat us all, kind of like a Keith Richards type.
Yeah, man. It's like he has all the Infinity Stones.
Yes.
From the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and like he's not going anywhere.
Is that like what's that like? Captain America?
Marvel, just in general.
Okay, that's what that is though.
Like Avengers, yeah.
I got you. I don't know a lot about that.
Like
stuff.
you collect them,
Right.
you collect them all, and basically you just own the world.
Like
right?
Pokemon.
We could call it Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Captain America meets Pokemon.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's just stick with
I
that.
think I
Let's stick
understand
with
it.
that.
I got it. I think you're right. I think he has that.
Yeah. He can't.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere ever.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Sing to me after 1,000 packs of cigarettes. Sing to me
know.
after 1,000,000. I'm gonna listen to all of it.
I know.
It's fine.
I missed the show. I had one opportunity. I don't know why. There was so much opportunity when I was a little younger, as you know. Mm-hmm. He did a show in our hometown area, closer to me. You were on the south side. Mm-hmm. The Schaumburg Flyers Stadium. I don't know if you remember this show. You might have heard about it. It was him and Willie Nelson. It was like a co-headlining thing.
Dude.
My buddy had a ticket for me, and I didn't go. I had something to do.
Okay, so I know the exact tour that you're talking about.
Right.
Because I saw Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson in Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
And it was like an outdoor arena. And so everybody's like trying to low-key smoke weed, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what, 2012 maybe?
Right.
Everyone's trying to low-key smoke weed in this arena. And Willie opens up for Bob. Willie comes out on the stage, lights up a joint, and goes, and now everybody can do it.
Whoa.
On the mic, right? So everybody just lights up in front. There's security, there's police officers everywhere, and they're all just like, we can't kick out everybody.
Not everybody?
You know what I'm saying?
Not 10,000?
Yeah. Yes. It was crazy, man.
That's
crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I'm sad that I missed that show. I was just, and it's probably something stupid too. I can't remember what it was that was so important, but I skipped that show. Yeah, that's a bummer. But I'll have to go one more time. But that would have been a good time to go because that was like a good 25.
Yeah.
I think it was 18, so it was 20 years ago.
Wow. Well, he's got at least another 20 years of touring left, so you'll be fine. You'll make another.
It's true. It's true. So, well, dude, thank you for being here, first of all.
Absolutely, man.
Congrats on the promotion.
Thank you.
Congrats on the anniversary.
Thank you.
Super proud of you.
Thanks, man.
And there's something else. That I wanted to tell you before we get going. I recorded an episode yesterday here by myself, and it was after we had talked.
Yeah.
You know, so guys, if you remember, on the episode that you watched previous to this one, I brought you up. I was like, I showed this to my buddy and he called me out, and I'm glad he called me out. For not being as true as it's supposed to be a true podcast, about real things, about true things. And I'm glad that I shared it with you. I want to tell you this. I'm glad that I shared it with you, and I'm glad that you told me what you did, and you had just amazing feedback. And I think Thanks, you see the potential of what this could be and what I was trying to do, but also you know me enough where you know when I get in my own way on things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so looking back, if I was to look back on those first few episodes, I'm like, yeah, man, you could tell there's something going on cerebrally where I'm like, I'm not willing to. I'm like, oh, let me lock that down. Let me lock.
You were
this
uncomfortable,
down.
and you were trying to find. Yeah. You were trying to find the place.
Yeah, like I don't think they were terrible, but
no,
I think you're right. I think there's a greater goal here, and I think it could be really cool for other people.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, man.
I want to welcome everybody. I want to welcome my buddy on the show today. I usually call you
Go ahead.
by your other
We're
name.
going to talk about it probably, right?
Oh, no, I hope not. Everybody, without further ado, I want to welcome my buddy Mike Schaffern to the Higher Ground Podcast. The first episode where it's not just me rambling about some silly song that I wrote a while back. So,
It's
welcome.
Not silly. Thanks, man.
Welcome.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here. It's just awesome to see you.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Cheers.
We're having a little sip here.
It's better than ranch water.
Mike doesn't like to drink ranch water. Those are 4%ers, though. I can drink those all day, all night, and still be productive.
I think this is 80%, or they call it proof, but same difference.
Yeah, what does that translate to? Like 20%? Wouldn't that be like more like a 20?
Probably.
Something like 30 or...
We should do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is when on the real podcasts that are like way more high budget than this DIY punk rock. They have a guy that like looks things up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to get one of them.
No, you don't.
No,
we know everything.
Yeah, because I got a laptop in front of me, dude.
You have a library behind you.
Yeah, dude. We'll just look it up.
Like there's Bob Dylan lyrics, 1961 to 2012.
Yeah, dude.
So we could have just pulled that out, but then we would have just sat here and read that book and not talked about.
It'll take me like 25 minutes to get to the right page, you know.
So I think.
So tell me about your. Well, why don't we just start with what was your first? Tell the people what your first impression was. I didn't really get into a lot of detail.
First impression
of the show and where you think like we can take it, because that's why you're here today. Grace the show, and I think in an effort to make it better. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Yeah.
To like really give a cool shot at this, you know, stepping it up.
Yeah, man. I think so like I'm a huge fan of your music, and not just because we're friends. I think there's a lot of artists right now that are not slinging stuff from the heart, I guess. Right? Like I listen to pop, country music, or rock, anything, right? Like any pop, really.
Right.
And you know, I'm seeing like a lot of pandering, I feel like, and I've never felt that about your music. So beside the fact that we're friends, like I really think that you are creating from your heart and from your experiences. And so like the fact that you want to do this and be more vulnerable outside of your lyrics, I think is incredible. And so like I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
I just it's just hanging out with a buddy.
That means a lot, man. I appreciate you feeling that way, because that is how I feel about it. And you know, I think that these songs are coming from a real place, whether they're based on a true story or if they're more true in the sense that maybe it's like a wish from me, like a prayer, maybe. Like maybe the song we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Maybe that never really happened to me, but maybe it happened to somebody else, you know, and maybe they connect with it. So I'm glad you feel that way, and I appreciate you coming over so that you can help me take this to a new level.
Oh, thanks, man.
So as we are starting to allude to, Mike had a really cool idea. You know, I always kind of kick off the show talking about what song we might want to rip open, dig into, see what is the kind of that overarching theme, what is maybe the relatable angle on it. What am I trying to say? Is there something to learn there? Is there something that usually it's me trying to figure out based on what I was going through, maybe what the lesson was. But with Mike here, I'd like to kind of hand those kind of thoughts over to him. But I think we're going to start with a song from, well, we're not going to start with, we're going to do the song. On this episode, we are going to tackle a song from the Black Sheep album. The last song that I wrote with James Heald and James Russell from England, wrote the song Across the Pond. Very similar to Higher Ground. Yes.
I didn't know
Higher
that. That's
Ground
cool.
and Everything to Lose. Yeah, we collaborated over Skype. And from writing to record, you know what I mean, to final mix. So that's kind of the same story as Higher Ground if you watched episode 1, but everything to lose, you know.
So like for me, right, everything to lose, like instantly relatable, right? And so like I wanna share why that song means a lot to me, man. And it's like we've been friends for over 20 years, maybe.
For real, dude. I probably met you in, I feel like 2011 it might be.
No, it's sooner than that, man. I think it's sooner. No?
Because I didn't get into business till 2009.
Feels longer.
Yeah, it feels longer. Well, and I didn't talk to you for a long time. I never knew why. I don't know why that happened either.
You came.
Like we never had a falling out.
No. You came down here to pursue music.
But before that, even.
I don't know.
There was a time where we didn't communicate, and it wasn't for any good reason. I don't think. I think that. Maybe,
I can take a shot, and it kind of relates to what we're about to talk about with the song.
Yeah.
I can take a shot and say I was probably in an unhealthy relationship.
Okay. And maybe she thought I was an idiot. Maybe she didn't like me.
No. I don't think it probably had nothing to do with you. It probably had to do with me pushing everything I had into that, knowing it was going to be unsuccessful the whole time, right? But like being young and like I'm making this effort, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Which is like kind of a prerequisite to what we're about to talk about with the song, and what I love about it, because it. So, I would like to hear your thoughts before I share mine on everything to lose for you. Like, why did you write that? What brought you to that song? Because it's for me, it's so relatable, and I would imagine for a lot of people, it's so relatable. Yeah.
And probably a lot of people from our background too is like, you know, at the time, for you, you know, like single males, kind of in this millennial generation. I don't want to chalk it up to a generational thing, but for me, I do consider myself, at least in my 20s and 30s. I mean, I'm still kind of this free-spirited guy in a lot of ways, and I'm just starting to maybe, you know, calm down a little bit, but there's a lot about me that reckless guy that I kind of describe in the song. Yeah. That's kind of who I am and who I've always been. And it's been interesting because that's not necessarily the woman that I was looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you read that lyric down, when you listen to that song, it kind of talks about this reckless guy that meets this perfect angel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's totally romanticizing. I'm not saying that, you know, it's definitely not rooted in a reality, but that I've lived personally. But I think it's one that other people have lived where somebody did find their better half. And it's not specific to male versus female and stuff. It's just somebody finding their better half. For me, to answer your question, I think it's a prayer, a hope, a wish that would happen. I think that's when you're talking about songs coming from the heart, and being true and being real. I think like I was saying before, like the real is kind of in the, I would really love it if it happened, and I really mean that. Yeah. But it actually did not happen, as you know well.
So that for you, that's what the way you answer that is perfect, because that's exactly. You and I have had like a lot of really deep conversations about relationships specifically, right? Yeah. And so, this has happened so many times in our friendship, where I said, "Man, like you're a songwriter in Nashville. You're doing great. You're living this life where you can just do what you want or whatever, right?" I'm like, "That sounds amazing." Yeah. And you've literally been like, you have a great relationship with your wife, and 2 kids, and you're like, your life is amazing, right? And honestly, man, like that, you know, we were talking about existential dread and stuff like that earlier, right? And to me, I'm like, and it's not always, but sometimes I'm like, man, I have all these responsibilities, and
Right.
I feel right. But like, one of the things that I struggle with is gratitude, and you are my person where I can message and or call and be like, hey man, I'm struggling this week with this, and like I'm having a tough time. I'm having a hard time finding that gratitude that we all have to find, you know. And you're like, dude, you have a wife and she's wonderful, and you have these kids and they're healthy, and like life's going good. And I'm like, you're right, you know. So it's a lot of perception, right? It's a lot of perception.
Yeah.
I perceive your life as like this fun, full of freedom,
Right.
and you're like, oh, but you have all these things that matter.
Yeah.
Like, so it's interesting. But when I listened to that song the first time you put it out, I remember like, I was like, man, this is like, based off the conversations that we had, this is what he wants, you know, this is what he's looking for.
Right.
And I was very lucky to find it. You know, I don't take that for granted.
Yeah. I know you don't either. Yeah. And it's, but, and separate from that, perception's like a thing, right? It's, I was reading about that yesterday. You know, it's a common thing. It's almost like a cliche thing by this point, but you know, we choose what we focus on.
Yep.
But sometimes that choice is almost like a skill.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it like before you got here when you're on the road. It's like sometimes you just have to like exercise. You have to like work that skill like out like a muscle, and you got to get jacked in that skill of like being thankful or choosing to focus on. Tony Robbins says it all the time, and I think that's where I saw it recently, or maybe it was in a book I was reading. But somebody said, you know, what's terrible is always available, but so is like what's great. You know, so it's not that you're this. I hate that phony BS stuff of pump up and like positivity and all these things. I hate it. You know, I hate it, and that's why I'm a big Tony Robbins fan personally in my personal life. But because he always talks about that, he's like, you know, what's terrible is available, but so is what's great, and it's a choice. So it's not about pump up. It's not about phony. It's not about fake. It's about it's not about false positivity. It's about making choices and turning that into a habit. You know, making the right ones. You know. But anyway, no. That reminded me of what you were talking about. Yeah,
that's great, man. I totally agree. Anyway, so the reason the song resonates with me like it does, man, is because I was that like reckless person that wasn't giving a fuck about anything, really, right? About like what I did, who I hurt, my health. Like I was at a point.
Did you really feel that way?
I felt. So I'm not going to say names of course, the women, but you met a former ex of mine, right? That I really had poured like a lot of myself into, and that relationship ended, and it came with like, you know, we had gotten a house and she had a son from a prior relationship, right? And like I had really tried to fall into that role of dad, and like I really had put a lot of myself into this, and then that ended, and so after that was like a spiral. Like it wasn't going to work out. We ended up splitting up, and then that was like drinking more than I should. Gotcha. A pack of cigarettes a day, right? Like the old stereotype. Right. Like, dude, I bought a motorcycle drunk. My first motorcycle I bought literally drunk. Wow. This is a true story. I don't know if I ever told you. At like a party or something, like in somebody's garage. Dude, I went to a dealership with a buddy. Oh my god. Had him drive me there. This is a true story. Wow. Yeah. Which I probably shouldn't say this on the on Spotify or wherever this is being found, but it's true.
It's not illegal to buy stuff. It's not illegal to buy a motorcycle, I don't think. YouTube, you're going to cancel us for this.
Literally. Yeah. Quarter life crisis.
Right.
Sleeping on a buddy's couch.
Yeah.
Because I had too much pride to go back home to my parents, right? Like I was like 29 at the time, I think.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm not doing that. Sleeping on a buddy's couch, and like was like, hey man, drunk on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Drive me to this I'm going to buy my first motorcycle. It's a true story. My first motorcycle. And
Hell yeah. I like this actually.
it was, I was not in a good place though,
Right. No, I hear you.
That went on for a while, that recklessness.
I see.
Yeah. And then where my wife comes in, that's like the significant part of the story, man. Is like I was on that reckless path, not really caring about much. And her and I ended up working together. And she was like a coach through this breakup.
Right.
Like she was like, "No, you're better than this." Like her and I would go out and like grab dinner after work or like a drink, and we would just talk. And she's like, you deserve more than this. Like you're not this breakup. You're not this guy that's being terrible. Like you're better than that.
Do you think that was a move? Do you think she was hitting on you?
I don't think she was, man. I think so. You know her pretty well at this point.
I'm just being facetious at this point.
I don't think it was a move, man. I think
either way,
dude,
awesome.
She has such a good heart to just care about people and look out for people. I think that she was worried about me, and she was like, she saw the redeeming quality that I didn't see in myself.
So maybe the feelings aren't there yet. Those romantic feelings.
Yeah.
Got you.
For her. I know for me, I was like,
you were like,
someday.
Well, shoot. Now that you say that.
Yeah. But, like before we even started dating, she was like working to pull me out of this gutter, man. That like, I don't think I even realized I was in.
Right.
But I was like in a really bad place, and it became her friendship through that, like where she became like my best friend. And then the situation that we ran into was she was going to a friend's wedding, and she was like, I don't have a date for this wedding, right? And I'm like an idiot. So I'm like, that sucks. Seriously.
Right. No,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Went back to my friend's house where I'm sleeping at, and talked to my friend Christina, and she's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like she wanted you to ask her to the wedding. And I was like, no. Like, why would I self-invite myself right to this wedding? Like,
for sure.
She was just venting, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, whatever. Like I'll be vulnerable. I'll put myself out on this. And so I text her and I'm like, hey, if you want to date to that wedding, like I think we'd have some fun. Like we're friends. I got you, boo. Yeah. And it keeps going from there, man. And she pulls me out of this. We start dating. I'm still at a friend's house. Like they're taking good care of me. My wife owned a home at the time.
Right.
And, my brain, of course, was like, let's live together because we're dating now. And right. Because I'm a dumb animal. And, she's like, no, like you got to get your own place.
Oh, that's cool.
This is, I can't believe we haven't talked about this.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
I might have heard it, but I loved hearing it again, especially in this context that we're.
Yeah. So she's like, you have to get your own apartment.
Yeah.
Sign a year lease.
Yeah.
You and I will date throughout that year. That's fine. But like, you need to learn how to handle your
Boom.
Like an adult.
Boom.
Dude, and this is no one's ever.
She's a pro.
Never happened. She's
like a pro human. You know what I mean?
Pro human. Yeah, man.
She ain't that amateur human, dude.
I live in the apartment. We continue dating. Stuff goes well. She like literally teaches me how to like get out of debt.
Yeah.
Because she understands money, right? Mm-hmm. Helps me get out of debt. Helps me come up with a plan. I live on my own. I get out of debt. I get my life together.
Very cool.
And then all of a sudden she's like, hey, come, we can live together now,
Boom.
Crazy.
Love that.
Yeah.
And that's probably did that do a number on you just with your mindset at the time in your own head when she said, hey, no, we got to do this first, or I want you to go and do
Yeah.
that. Did you feel like a sense of like rejection, like instinctual?
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because like rationally is different than like how your heart just
Yeah.
knows to feel. You know what I mean? By default. Mm-hmm. So you probably had to step up. That was part of. That was a cool little test. Not like she's testing you kind of thing, but a thing of she gave you this opportunity to really step up
Yeah.
and to put away pride and put away, ego and things
Yeah.
like that for the greater good.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I definitely didn't know all these details.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was crazy, man.
This episode of the Higher Ground podcast was brought to you in part by the Black Sheep Club. For a while I was racking my brain trying to find a way for you and I to get a little bit closer together in this tight-knit community we've been building around this music. And then it finally hit me. I decided to create the Black Sheep Club, a backstage pass fan experience, behind the scenes, behind the curtain, a 24/7, 365 exclusive look into this music. Now I'm actually logged into the portal on my phone because I can't remember all the perks, but I wanted to make sure to read them off to you. A free t-shirt from RylandFisherShop.com. The entire discography for free. Secret albums not available on CD, not available online. An unreleased tracks library. Legacy tracks taken out of circulation. That's songs from the old days. Early access to brand new music and videos. Basically, as soon as a song is done, you don't have to wait for the album to come out. It comes straight to the Black Sheep Club. A lifetime merchandise discount for RylandFisherShop.com. A behind-the-scenes video library. Never before seen interviews and documentary library. There's a ton of stuff over there. A photo shoot library, patron shout out. This is all exclusives, stuff that you can't get anywhere else. And at the end of the day, you're supporting the making of brand new music and brand new art. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate all the current Black Sheep Club members. We'd love for you to come break on through to the other side and join us in the Black Sheep Club.
Yeah. So like then we lived together and like she helped me get to this better place and like I was better for it and then eventually married. So like I always say like and this isn't, I don't know if this is it's hard to say because I've not always had the best mental health, right? But like I really don't know where I'd be at without her.
Right.
I don't want to say I wouldn't be here, but I don't think that I would have the successes that I've had without her. Like I really don't.
I know how appreciative you are. You talk about it all the time. You probably talk about that. You've articulated your appreciation for your wife probably more than you've articulated anything. I think consistency wise. So man, and who wouldn't love that?
Yeah.
So yeah, if the tables were turned, if I'm kind of talking to her right now, right?
Yeah.
It's goes both ways, right? When it works. So that's pretty cool.
You should have her on next and see what she says.
Yeah, we should do that.
She would be like, I had to pull this drunk out of the sewers.
Yeah. The sequel. And then we do the rubber match, like part 3. We get both of you together.
Couples therapy.
The opposite of couples therapy. Where a couple does therapy on me.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Ooh. Reverse couples therapy.
Singles
I don't even know what you would call it. Yeah. But I feel like it would be the first time I feel like we're stumbling upon like a really good shtick.
We're right there. We're right there.
A successful couple that are also mental health professionals in real life give advice to the guy that can't hold down a relationship.
Yeah, man.
This is perfect.
I love this.
I think it's great.
We're right there. I think it's great. But all that to say, man, is that song just really resonates with me because I was in that reckless kind of dark place. And, she saved me.
She did.
She saved me.
Yeah, after hearing that, I totally understand that. I totally get it. Well, and I relate to it on a number of levels, and that is great. By the way, thank you for being here again. This is so much more fun and interactive than usually I'm doing this by myself and I'm talking to myself. It's like I'm talking to myself in a mirror, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really trying to, as you know, and as you all know, I'm trying to talk to you all, the audience. But it's so much easier, I think, to break some new ground on this material with somebody else, and especially a good buddy. So
thanks, man.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
That said, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, you're kind of just... You hit that song on all cylinders, you know? So, I mean, for a guy like me, if I was to ask you, what are 3 things that somebody would need to have a successful, happy relationship, what would they be? You know?
Yeah, I don't feel like that's groundbreaking stuff that you couldn't get with with a therapist or whatever.
Right.
I can tell you what it was for me. So for me, my wife was the first person that I was truly vulnerable with. So vulnerability, meaning like I told her my
Yeah.
She knew the good, the bad, the ugly, man, the flaws, like, you know, this is going to happen. I'm going to get insecure. I'm going to say some dumb shit. I'm going to need you to reel me in, like reassure me. These are the things that I'm bringing, right? So like just being 100% vulnerable for me was huge.
And at what point do you do that?
With her, and maybe it's because it started like as a friendship, but with her, it was like immediately. I don't know that there's been a point since her and I started even a friendship, relationship, whatever, where like I haven't felt comfortable being myself 100%. And her and I are very different people, like in everything, right? But like she's always allowed me to be me. I've always allowed her to be her. And like we've accepted each other as they are and with our vulnerabilities, like what we bring, our baggage, in complete and total honesty. And I think like if you can't do that, you're not gonna find the person, because the always gonna come out, right? Like your insecurities, your issues, it's always gonna come out. But if you start it in a place where you're like, this is my
right,
this is my truth, like I'm gonna give it to all of it to you, and you can take it or you can not take it, and that's your choice. Dude, that sets the groundwork for like success, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Let me ask one question on vulnerability before you go to number 2.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile the fact that you know that you need vulnerability to succeed in reality, but you feel so strongly, especially in that honeymoon phase, right? I feel like myself and a lot of listeners would, you look at that honeymoon phase. A lot of us that are single, we're in that honeymoon phase and we want to pretend we're Superman or Superwoman.
Yeah.
Out of the gate.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that feeling that everybody feels? Nobody's immune to that. With knowing that you really need to be that open book.
Yeah. So I think honeymoon phase is kind of a dumb concept.
Yes.
Right? Because when something's new, right? Like it's you're bringing the good, they're bringing the good. So it's so funny that you said that, because you don't even know this.
Sure.
My wife recently just got we have like a thing that we say to each other, and she just got it tattooed on her. And it says honeymoon forever.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah. So,
hell yeah.
So this is what we say to each other, right? It's like, because we've been married 6 years now. And everybody...
Congrats.
Thanks,
anniversary.
Man. Thank you. Yeah. But everybody always says, like, they started saying you're just in the honeymoon phase, right? And then it happened a little bit, and now it's like gone, right? And our thing is like, we're gonna honeymoon forever, because we've redefined the honeymoon stage.
Yeah, man.
It's not this initial, right, like lovey-dovey feeling. The honeymoon stage is how we communicate and going on dates, getting through the challenges of having children, right? Like this is all part of our honeymoon stage, right? And I'm going to show her appreciation. She's going to show me appreciation. And that's not going to go away because it's in that's the mission, right?
Absolutely.
The mission is like, we're going to stay in this honeymoon stage. And so we're going to. Mm-hmm. It's not a stage. It's just our life. We're going to honeymoon forever. Yeah.
Love that. And that is, it's easy to, you talk about faith.
Mm-hmm.
Faith's easy when it's you, when you're the one that you have to count on.
Yeah.
But man, what you're talking about is a whole other plateau, a whole other level. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. That makes a lot of sense. So number 2, that was vulnerability. I know there was a lot. You said vulnerability, but there's a lot to talk about,
it's
right?
Huge, man.
Within that alone.
Yeah, it's huge.
So what would be number 2?
Number 2 for me, and I kind of talked about it in that, right, would be acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
true.
She has to accept my bullshit. I have to accept her bullshit. Mm-hmm. The mistakes, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. I said it again, but like it's true, right? Everybody's gonna bring good things and bad things and things they're not proud of, and like you just have to go. This is a person. I've made mistakes. They've made mistakes. We've all done it. Like, hey, if you're gonna be vulnerable enough to tell me about this stuff, I'm gonna be vulnerable enough to accept it, right? I'm not gonna hold you accountable for those past errors. Like this is part of us now.
Hell yeah.
So that's a huge one for us as well. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Very cool. That tracks, man. like you say, it's well, and it doesn't need to be groundbreaking to be profound. And I think that was your point earlier. I think we all need those reminders.
Yeah.
And that's where the songs kind of tie in for me. It's like the songs they could be so many things, and one of those many things are reminders, right, of how you already feel, or what you want, or what you've already learned, but maybe you're not practicing, or you haven't been practicing lately. Anyway, that makes a lot of sense. But
that's why I feel like the stuff you put out is so relatable, man.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's, and obviously I know you well, but it's like you're writing about and performing the stuff that like everybody's feeling, and sometimes you just don't know how to put it in those words, right?
Right.
Like my perception of stuff before is like I was up and my wife pulled me out of it, right?
It's essentially what this song's about, right?
But when I hear your song, what I hear is like these people make some mistakes. Right?
Because I'm really like,
but then you need
not
someone
trying to drag
sometimes.
you and I through the mud on those early years.
But then you need someone sometimes to like help you out of that, right?
Yes,
Like it's almost a friendship
100%.
song.
100%.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's totally a pedestal. I call that like a pedestal song, where it's like my wife is on this holy plateau. You know what I mean? It's that thing.
Yeah.
I was in a habit of writing that sort of thing at that time. And I'll tell you right now, I wrote that song when I was single. That's how you know. It's, again, doesn't make it a lie.
Yeah.
What it makes it is a hope, a wish, a prayer.
Yeah.
That hadn't come true yet. But that doesn't mean, again, thankfully, faith is a lot easier when you're single because, I have to exercise quite a bit of it as a single person. Anyway. Y'all, we are DIY like crazy.
We talked about a
people,
half an hour. We're past that, huh?
Like people are trying to call me when we're trying to talk about the real thing here. No, we're actually at 43 and a half minutes, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. No pressure.
I'll keep number 3 quick because we talked about 3.
Yeah.
Number 3, right, ties in for me with vulnerability and acceptance, and it's communication, right?
Yes.
Like you have to be able to communicate effectively.
Boom.
And like that's harder for me than it is for my wife. I'll share like what we do that works really well for us is when we're angry, usually not at each other, but because of like some kid thing that came up and like it, then it bounces back on you. So we have healthy enough communication where I can literally go, I'm going to take 10 minutes and get myself together, because if I communicate with you right now, I'm not going to say what I should say.
Right.
It's not going to be productive. It's not going to be
Argument.
healthy. Yeah, it could cause an argument.
Right.
So like I need 10 minutes to calm down and get my thoughts together. And we have this relationship where she goes, cool, take 10 minutes. If you need more, take more. I got it. And then
When
we'll talk.
did that start? When did you start doing that? Is that a product of maybe knowing that, hey, we need to reduce these arguments?
Yeah.
Or is it?
So I don't think we've ever really, man, I feel like we've
Yeah, 'cause
never
I know
really,
you're pretty good about that
we've never really argued.
compared to most.
Yeah. I think kids, when we had
That
our
was hard.
twins,
Yeah.
that was where we had to start setting boundaries in our relationship to make sure that we didn't lose the love and affection and kindness towards each other that we had built. Because no one's ready for it, right?
Yeah, man.
So like all of a sudden you're not sleeping and stuff is hard.
I
And
could
then
never
it was
do it.
like,
I could never do it.
you could. You wouldn't like it, but you could do it. But once you have other people you're caring for in the picture, man,
Yeah,
you
dog.
have to
You gotta be
set
there.
expectations and boundaries, right?
Hell yeah.
And so we did, and it's been super effective, man.
That's very cool.
So that just feeling comfortable to say like, I'm not good to have this conversation now, but if you give me 20 minutes, I will be.
And I wanted to bring this up. When I heard you say communication, I immediately thought of something. And I'm not sure why. Do you and your wife communicate by nature, instinctively, the same way?
Like, do her and I have the same communication styles?
Exactly that. That was my question.
No. I'm much
So I
more.
think that's important. So
Yeah.
how do you... Yeah. Talk about
Yeah.
how they're different, but then also the second part of that is like, when they're different, how do you align?
Yeah.
Right?
So the whole like, let's take a X amount of minutes break thing, right? Is
Yes.
probably truly because of me.
Right.
Because I'm like an emotional communicator.
Yeah.
So like in the moment, I want to be like, can you just listen to me, right? Like, this is what
Want
I'm
to get in
trying to
the
say.
weeds, dog?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna talk over her, which
Right.
I hate doing. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves when people talk over me. But like if I'm in an emotional moment, right, it happens. And Jenny is calm, cool, and collected all the time, always. Yeah, man.
It's like a balance.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So like, she acknowledged Mike needs a break. Go take a break. And every once in a while she'll need a break, and she takes a break.
Hell yeah.
Not as much as I need a break, but it happens. So yeah, man, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's been just those three things: vulnerability, acceptance, communication. Those are fundamentals in our house that like keep everything moving in the direction that they should. Even with our kids, right? Like,
Right.
we want to be vulnerable with them when we make mistakes. We want to accept who they are. We want to make sure communication is healthy, and like that's how our house runs, and it's been
That's great, man.
amazing. Yeah.
That's great.
So, yeah, man, she pulled me out of the gutter for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel like, and it's not that I'm not, oh yeah, and like I know what you mean, but mostly it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with, that's hard to find.
So hard.
For you to be able to say that, because I'm not telling my buddy here, I'm not telling you, oh yeah, you were up back then, you know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the fact that would you say 6 years?
6 years married, yeah.
6 years married, what is that? 8 years, 7 years
Yeah.
knowing?
8 years dating,
Eight
over
years-
10 now knowing each other. Yeah.
Over 10.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So you're just, that just proves my point further of, for somebody to say that a decade later, because look at most relationships. Wouldn't you agree that most relationships, regardless of whether there was a friendship or not there first, that it's the catalyst for the whole deal. It's, I've started relationships based on a first date, right? First meeting, right? So all I'm saying is that for somebody to say what you're saying says a lot about her.
100%, dude. And I think the mistake that people make is not setting the rules and the boundaries of their relationship. That's what we did. People get into a relationship and they just start going, right?
Right.
And we set rules and boundaries.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to talk to each other.
Right.
This is how we're going to live our day-to-day life. When the kids came, this is what we're responsible for. This is how we want them to be raised, right?
Yeah.
Like rules and boundaries. You set them, you're going to see success. It's like anything else, right?
Yeah.
You don't set an alarm to wake up for your job, you're going to lose your job.
Right.
Right?
True. I have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
I have a question in the way of, do you feel like, this is an episode, this is this really special episode. We're exploding the topic. Normally we just tear it open, and pull a couple thoughts out.
And we talked about half an hour, and this is going to be an hour.
Well,
easy.
No, I want it to be. I want it to be as long as possible because people have been enjoying it. People have been enjoying the episodes, and they're gonna love this one. This is by far head and shoulders above anything that we've done here. But what I mean is, we're really ripping this open into the heart of the matter. My question, man, is: do you feel like? Okay, we're talking about a song called Everything to Lose. The whole point of this song is that there's this guy who's been kind of rolling like a stone, heading down the path, not really watching what he's doing, but then almost seemingly, at least in the song, kind of stumbles upon, as we do in life. You stumble upon, in his case, the woman of your dreams, right?
Yeah. Savior. I would
Savior.
say. Yeah.
Savior, right?
Yeah.
To that extent. That said, to take it even further and to be devil's advocate a little bit, for the listeners out there, for myself, do you feel like you're made for each other? Do you feel like I would love to know your opinion. Everybody, we all talk about this idea of fate and there's serendipity involved and all these things. Do you feel like it's all work after that initial attraction, that really any two people can learn to coexist employing the right tools? Or is it you're kind of geared towards each other?
Yeah. So,
you had some help along the way.
So I think experience has helped me to figure out what I wanted and needed, right, to make her made for me, I guess, so to speak. I don't think anyone's
Ooh.
made.
You had to step up.
I don't think anyone's made for each other.
Yes.
I think that everything requires a lot of work. But I think if you go in discussing what that work is going to be and where you want that work to go, that's how you create made for each other, right?
Right.
When you know the expectations of something, when you have a goal to get to something, you tend to follow that goal and meet those expectations, right? Like a job.
Or the expectations of a partner, right? Even.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like we said, this is what we want out of our lives. These are the rules we're going to follow to be respectful and kind to each other.
Right.
And that's going to get us, these are the action steps that are going to get us to this goal of making this life that we want. And that's what's happened, man. So just like anything else, it's organization
Right.
and thought
Right.
and time management
Right.
and putting in the work.
That's a very political answer. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Well, what I was going
Not
to
a-
say was that maybe it's a little of both. I'm wondering, I'm speculating on the outside, on the sidelines. I'm on the sidelines right now. Maybe you and your wife, maybe you were adjacent to each other in goals, in being made for each other. I can imagine, and this is what was my hope in the song, was I was hoping and praying that a screw up like me could, find the forgiveness of somebody that I really looked up to, in a woman. That maybe that could be adjacent. That maybe we could have the same long-term goals, same values, or could learn to adopt similar or adjacent values.
Yeah.
So there was probably a little bit of both going on, right? It's not that you two are thrown together randomly. There's a level of, I think, what I would call grace. There's the element of grace where the thing you can't put your finger on, you can't explain it.
Yeah.
But it just,
Yeah.
it's sweet. Right? And then there's the work. And the work is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Of course. Not downplaying that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to imply that I was downplaying. But I feel like it's a level of both, because when I see you two together, I do see that grace. There's this glow. And maybe it's something that individuals don't see when they're in it, but I think an onlooker, somebody who does pray and wish and hope for those things and write songs about it, because that's all a song is, right? It's a prayer,
Yeah.
you know. So, I see that for sure. That element of magic, I love magic. I think magic's a real thing, real magic.
Yeah.
The grace kind, not like the David Copperfield kind. You know what I mean? But what do you think? Do you agree?
So I would say that there's something to say, right, about like her strengths or my weaknesses and kind of vice versa.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that was really the first time where I'd been with someone that was like that.
Right.
So I've never considered us a made for each other sort of couple, right? But like when after you worded it like that, I'm like, oh, like she like really has her together, and she helps me keep my together. And I'm like pretty go with the flow, laid back, and I allow her to kind of live her life a little more impulsively and
Right.
with fun.
That last sip forgot me, bro. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So there's definitely like a natural balance, right?
Yeah.
And if we talk about it like that, then I guess you could say like we were made for each other in a way.
Right. In a way. Not the way that, not some cliche.
Yeah.
Serendipity. Literally, there's a movie called Serendipity, and I actually like the movie.
So good.
But that's not real life.
No.
What you're talking about is a real version of real life serendipity.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want to call this episode. When I name it on YouTube, I want to call it Real Life Serendipity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
I love
think.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Don't you think that's really what it is that we're talking about? It all started, we're talking about two people that, again, in that song, they almost seem like opposites,
Yeah.
right? And you say opposites attract or whatever. But it's really just, I think each person maybe helps fill the other's gaps. You know what I mean? There's like alignment.
I like that.
In a being each other's counterpart sort of way, you know? So that's cool. Because I know you both. I know, obviously, known you for a long, long time. What would we say, 20 years? Something like that. I have not known her for 20 years, but I've spent some time with you both and your family to know that You are different. Very different. Maybe not even cut from the same cloth. I don't know, just on the inside. It's very different. So cool to see something like that work.
Yeah.
I've always
Thanks,
felt
man.
like I was different from a lot of the people that I've had relationships with over time. But I think it's very cool. Yeah. No, I could think about that and go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Just in my mind, you can see me doing it now, like all day, and wonder how two people that are wired very differently have learned to work so well. It's like just like this level of emotional intelligence, but also, cerebral intelligence and maturity and
Thanks, man. Oh, that means a lot. It means a lot.
just a lot of things going on. I think there's a lot that goes into it, as you know.
Yeah.
You've been through. I mean, for God's sakes, you got twins, and you made it this far. And they're how old now? How old now?
They're about
How
to
old
be
are the
3.
kids? What's the kid anniversary?
They're about to be 3, dude.
They're having
June
their
20th.
3-year anniversary of being alive.
Yeah.
Wedding anniversary and a kid anniversary.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Punching faces and eating
Yeah, man.
mac and cheese. That's
Yeah, dog. That's a wild life. That's a
Yeah,
wild ride.
it's-
I can barely, you know this about me, I can barely babysit a dog.
That's not true. I haven't looked into the camera one time because I feel like it's weird for me to do that.
Yeah. Breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall. This guy, my kids call him Uncle Foxy.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about the Foxy.
Maybe some
Maybe
other
next time.
Yeah.
Some other time.
Yeah.
And they love him. So my kids actually FaceTimed me
them.
here, and they said, "I want to see Uncle Foxy." Fuck, Dad. Where's Uncle Foxy? So
That's because it's like, it's let me tell you about this. This goes back to show business. This is about saturation. This is about market saturation, brother. Mm-hmm. You're around them 7 days a week.
yeah,
You're putting in that 24 hours, okay? I put in that, 5 minutes once every 3 months.
No,
You know what I mean?
No.
I put in more than that.
you put in more than that.
But you get my point. Yeah. No, they're amazing. I love them. I think they're so cool, and man, I hope they're 50% of you both. You know what I mean? I hope they got that 50-50, because I think that's a really outstanding human, don't you think?
Well,
that's what I
kind,
think.
man. I hope they have 75% her and 25% me.
I know you always say that. But and I bet they'll get a 50-50 in ways that you can't even comprehend. So I just think it'll turn out really cool. I'm
Thanks,
looking
man.
forward to watching it for sure.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Looking forward to it. There's a lot of fun. Met them when they were born, and then I didn't see them for a hot minute, and then got to see them not so long ago. We watched WrestleMania together.
Yeah.
Didn't we? That was a lot of fun. Well, we're at WrestleMania weekend. I think they went to bed a little early, but
Yeah,
we spent some time. We got some
Heck yeah.
time in, got some hours in, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going back soon.
yeah, soon, man.
I love your town. I love our weekends that we get to, I get to come and
vice
hang,
versa.
and we just get to not worry about BS.
Yeah,
Hopefully you all get to forget your stuff. I definitely come and forget my stuff, and
it's amazing, man.
yeah.
A great friendship. We're always happy to have you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy that you came down to Tennessee.
Yeah,
Great
buddy.
land to Tennessee.
Chicago, who?
I know that's what's wild. We didn't even talk about it, but it's wild that this is my one dear friend that has made his way to the same state as me, probably on a whim, just like me, for independent reasons. But it all worked out in the end, and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we're killing it.
It is very cool.
Killing it.
My mom actually has a similar thing. Very close friend made her way down, and she's like, "This is sweet," So very cool. Last question.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap. We've been going.
I know,
Let's
I
wrap
love
it
it.
up.
I
It feels
love
short
it.
though. I feel like we've been talking
love
for
it.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting that time in. I like it. My last question is, If you could go back and tell your younger self anything about relationships, what would it be?
Whoa. So I guess touching on those three, right? Vulnerability, acceptance, and communication. I know for me, I was always trying to mold into the person I thought the person that I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And I think that looking back now, that's a huge mistake.
Right.
Because being accepted for who I am and sharing the real shit about me with someone that's willing to take it and listen to it, that's the game changer, right? So like, I think just always be yourself 110%, you know, like, and if someone's not willing to accept that, then they're probably not your person, right? Like that's huge.
What you're saying is huge. That's a huge thing. That's a pitfall I've gone down. I've been accused of that. Do you know what they call that today? In the climate that we live in today?
I don't know.
There's a word for this.
Is it going to get cut out of the podcast?
I'm trying to be vulnerable.
No, what are they called?
I'm torn between vulnerability and being real, as you said. Like, hey man, like you should be real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
F what people think.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to be that. So I want to say, I'm going to say that I'm going to take your advice and say that they have a word for that now. It's called love bombing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I've heard of it. Yes.
And
so what do you mean by that in terms of what you're?
but that's kind of like
you've
what
been through.
No, that's what you're talking about. It's like sometimes people go into relationships without malice. You don't go in with this. I'm not trying to be like this fake person that walks into this relationship, but you end up kind of adopting this people pleasing, not even a persona, but like a persona adjacent to yourself. You're just trying to do the right thing. You're trying to please somebody, trying to make somebody happy that you don't know very well, right? But it's kind of what you're talking about. Like, what if you were just, to take your advice, what if you were just yourself from the outset and you didn't have a front to put on and you were just transparent from the outset?
So you're saying if you're being overly vulnerable, it can be taken as love bombing, basically.
No, you were saying like if you're not being yourself.
Oh, I see.
I mean, was that, did I misinterpret your point of like when you said, if you could do it over again, you would just be yourself more?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean is I feel like a lot of us are going out there trying to, I guess all I'm saying is that we're going out there trying to be maybe other people, not trying to
who's going to
pose as somebody else,
but
the
version of you that's going to impress the person the most. Yeah.
So I can hang on to this feeling where somebody cares about me the longest.
Yeah. I say don't do it.
Right. Just let that stuff, if it doesn't align, you let that go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think even saying that in the start, like, you seem like a super interesting person. I really like you from what I know of you. I want to be 100% completely true to myself and vulnerable to who I am with you. And if you can't accept that, that's okay. Right? Like if that's not for you, that's fine. But I want you to know, like, this is how I'm going in. So you know who I am. And what I want, and I want to know who you are and what you want. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. But this is what I need to be myself and to make this work. Like, just set the expectation that that's what it is.
I love that.
Yeah, I think it's huge, man.
I love that approach.
Yeah.
And I hope that all single people can get on board with an approach like that. You know what I mean? Especially in today's kind of world. Yeah. Things are a little different now.
Yeah, a little more superficial and like presentation over, I don't know, practicality maybe. Maybe a way to say it.
Maybe there's some of that, but I think also there's that if this one doesn't work, it's a huge problem. It's like I think we need to get back to the the thing of I'm looking for the person that's for me,
Yeah.
not just looking for the person that I want
Yeah.
in this moment because
Yeah.
they're in front of me,
Yeah.
but the person that's for me, that's adjacent to me, that's geared towards aligning with what I want.
Yeah. And those aren't failures, right? They're experiences.
Right.
Like, and I looked at my past unsuccessful relationships as failures for the longest time. And now I look back and I go, oh, those were experiences so I could figure out who I was and what I wanted. And then I went into my next experience and got married because I knew who I was and what I wanted. And I was willing to share that openly and honestly.
Right.
Right? So
Because you were open and honest.
Yeah. That's the game changer, man.
It's huge. I feel like a lot of relationships today, it's like if it goes beyond 3 months, then man, it's time we gotta lock that down. We put 90 days into this thing. And I don't think that's the program,
We better
man.
buy a dog.
I don't think it's what'd you say?
We better buy a dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's serious. Let's get a dog.
Bro, I've been
Yeah,
there.
man.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been that one. I felt that one.
For real? Like, you bought a dog with?
No, I haven't bought. I've been like, I've been persecuted for not wanting to buy a dog.
Oh.
After 90 days.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Well, things along those lines.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
going back to my 20s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of having to almost being like you being handcuffed. You know. In a job, sometimes you could feel like you have golden handcuffs, like you are bound by pay. You're bound to
100%.
put a roof over your head. Well, in a relationship context, you can have, I think there's like kind of emotional handcuffs that people try to put around you.
Oh, yeah.
Same way they give you paychecks. People can kind of coach you and train you into.
Or that you put on yourself, right?
True.
Like, for me, man, I was like, I really clung on to the good stuff in bad relationships and ignored the bad stuff.
I got you.
So, like, man, I handcuffed myself. I was like, oh, here's you have a great sense of humor. That's the thing I love about you. We can laugh about stuff.
Right.
When we're not fighting, right? Like, so, but 80% of this is fighting, but the 20%,
It's so good.
Man, we're laughing. It's so fun, right?
Been
Handcuff
there.
myself, man, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you're taking that person in as a whole, and that's what you have to realize, right? You might like this one thing about them, not the rest. You got to let go of the one thing you like because in the long haul, that's not going to work.
Right.
So it's like, it's
Absolutely.
tough, man. And it's tough to see that stuff. I didn't see any of it until after it happened, right? So it's tough.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Man, I've had a great time.
Yeah, man. This has been awesome. It's been awesome.
We should do this more often, I think.
Yeah.
I think we should make this like a thing.
Like a you and I podcast, just talking about shit.
No, well, I feel like, that. But one way or the other, I feel like we need to do this more often, you know? Because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this has been great.
I jumped into this fire like the other day, like 7 days ago. And I just like, again, it was like kind of talking to a mirror, you know?
But that's what I love about you, dude. Because if people will think of something and then think themselves out of it, right?
Yeah.
You hop in and you take chances and you let me put myself out there. Let me figure this out. Let me be vulnerable. Let me work this out, dude. And people just don't do that. I love that about you,
Dude, I wish I could have done it 20 years ago.
I know.
You know what I mean?
When I know.
When this was like an innovative idea.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing it now because we do this anyway when we hang out because it's real.
Yeah.
You know, I wish that, yeah, man. But all I'm saying is that people have been enjoying this concept so far, the listeners, and I know that they're going to love this one. So
Awesome.
I'm really excited. I hope you all enjoy this. Appreciate my brother, man.
Yeah, man.
Coming on, sharing his story. It's a very important one. It's one that I have a great deal of respect for you, your wife, and your whole family, your pup. Love your doggy. She might as well be mine. I mean,
might
let's
as
be
well be
honest.
yours.
Let's be honest. Bit of a dog whisperer. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you, relating to this music or finding your relation to this music
Absolutely.
and sharing that with the audience.
Yeah.
I think we all got something out of this. This really means a lot to me. So
Yeah, man.
thank you so much.
There was a glass of whiskey and talking to one of my
I
best
love
friends.
you. I love you.
Love you too, bro.
I love you, dog. Let's do it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it soon.
Let's do it soon. Good vibes only. See you later. Enjoy. Have a good weekend.
You can find